finds yourself, are you an entrepreneur who finds yourself working alone, wondering how to get more clients, how to get more business? You may, have a lot of balls in the air and everything else. Well, then, welcome to Hang Out with Coach Kerry. My name is Kerry Brown, and I am a seasoned business coach. I've been coaching for over 17 years. In fact, I'm known as the Small Business Expert. And today our topic is around a target market or a specific audience. And I think it's a really key piece in terms of your marketing plan. For those of you who don't even know, have been watching the previous episodes, what we've been talking about is why have a plan in terms of your marketing. And just to kind of recap, it's really important that you are clear on how you're spending your money and your time. Because as a solo entrepreneur, your time is as valuable as your money is, and so we want to make sure that you're spending your time in the right places. That you're very specific and very strategic about that. So today's episode is going to be on target market, and I want to welcome my Academy member panelist, Kathy Scott. So Kathy, share to our audience who you are and what it is you do.
Well, good morning, Kerry. Thanks again for having me on. I always enjoy our sessions. I have a business called Niche Travel, and I inspire women to travel all over the world. So I take small groups of women. I shouldn't say I have tour hosts that also take women. And we go to wonderful, inspiring destinations. And as a matter of fact, you're hosting a tour to the Baltics shortly for me, so that will be a lot of fun.
Yes. Thank you. Well, Kathy, I always enjoy having you as a panelist because you've always got some great questions, and as the audience may have guessed, Kathy's been a panelist right from the very beginning, and I really appreciate the questions and the feedback that we get on these episodes. So today you're going to want to watch till the very end of this session because this is a big topic, and in fact, I may get to a portion of it, and we may have to do a target market 2 in order to give you all the information that you need, because this is a really key piece of your marketing plan. So, Kathy, right out of the gate, what's your first question for me?
Well, I guess, Kerry, it's why a target market? Why not just appeal to everybody and just see as many people as I can and get all the people that I can interested?
Great question, and I get this often. And in fact, it sounds counterintuitive to actually look for a niche, because if we know, and for those of you who are watching and listening from the United States, in Canada, we call it a niche. I know you call it a niche. So we're going to use those terms interchangeably. So what a niche means is that you are narrowing your focus, that you are becoming more specific. So why is that important? Why should you do that? It's a great question, Kathy, because it does seem counterintuitive. From a marketing standpoint, don't you want to throw as large a net as possible and see if you can get as many people in it? It's as if you're going fishing. Why not get all the fish? Well, the fact of the matter is, if you're just fishing for a specific kind of fish, then you want a net that's going to particularly catch that type of fish, because you're going to spend a lot of your resources, time, sorting through to find the right fish you're looking for, and you might have a net that the holes are so big that the specific fish you're looking for are swimming all the way through it. And in fact, you may not even be putting your net in the right place, because that's not where your fish hang out. So it's really key that you identify who is your ideal client, who is your target market, who is your specific audience. Whichever term fits most for you, then you will be able to spend your resources, time and money, in a very efficient and practical way and get the results that you're looking for. If not, you're going to be putting a net here, and then a net here, and then a net here and here, and just seeing what will happen. And if you've been a follower of my Hangout with Coach Kerry episodes, you know that I'm a real fan of making sure that when you are spending your time and your resources, that you're doing it very strategically, so that you are certain you're getting your best bang for your buck. So why do we do that? Why do we narrow it? It's so to save your time and resources, to actually resonate with your audience, with your marketing messages. It's almost impossible to write an effective marketing message if you're trying to appeal to the masses. It's almost impossible to create a compelling 30-second, 60-second elevator speech when you are not clear who your audience is that you're speaking to. So all of these efforts that you're putting out there will be hard to get the results that you want because you're not being as specific as that you need to be. So again, I'm all about making sure that you are efficient with your time and that you have systems in place and structures that are going to support you for success. So Kathy, I'm hoping that answered your question. Did that raise any other questions for you?
Yeah, it did answer my question. Thanks, Kerry. And I guess the question would be, so where do we begin?
Great. Okay. Well, this is when my glasses come on because there's a lot of content for us to cover through during this time. So here we go. So one of the things I want to share with you that's really key is that most businesses, and that's all of this audience included in that, is 80% of your business will come from 20% of your database. 80% will come from 20% of your database. And we call this actually your circle of influence. That's that sweet spot in your business. And it's what makes sense to direct your time and your energy to those clients that are the most important to you and that really get them to understand, and so you understand their buying patterns, their interests, their tastes, their attitudes, and their motivators. They'll be your best source of referrals, and okay, say yes if you want lots of referrals.
Oh, yes.
Good. Okay, then that's how you're going to get referrals, is when you're speaking to that circle of influence, that group that really resonates with you. And again, because they see you as being really valuable to them, because there's that connection there, that resonance that's there. So if you don't have an established circle of influence, then we're going to talk about that today. How do you establish that circle of influence? How do you build on that? And this is where you want to be strategic about that. So the first thing that you're going to have to do is define the key characteristics of your ideal client. What are those key characteristics? Because when you identify what they are, then it's going to be really easy for you to be able to put actually a face or a name to them, so to speak. So here are some of the things you're going to want to record and really think about. And sometimes we take a clue from a couple of our ideal customers or clients that we have right now. And most of my clients will say, if I could have my business made up of this group, I'd be happy. Well, then that's the group that you want to identify. So what are their key characteristics? Is there a specific age? Now, you may have a product or service that could appeal to everyone, but again, we're not going to cast that large net. Again, who is that ideal client? And narrow that age group, that niche, as close as you can. And Kathy, I know that you've identified that in terms of your audience as well. Is that while you may get the odd person who's maybe a little older or younger, you know where the sweet spot is in your business. Would you agree with me on that one?
Absolutely.
Yeah, great. So, gender again. Is there a specific gender? Is there a type of occupation that they have? Are they professionals? Are they working people? You know, what is that niche for you specifically? Is there an income level? Is there an education level? Is there maybe a geographic level place for them? You know, there may be a certain area in your business where there may be some geography that's there. If you are dealing with another business, then you want to look at, are there some key characteristics of their business, which would be in kind of industry that they're in, the number of employees, their revenue level, all of that type of thing. And in fact, for people that are coaches like myself, that's a key piece for me to identify in terms of my audience as well. Then we also want to look at their emotional characteristics, the psychographics. Are there certain pieces of that group that are just psychologically really important for them? Do you know what are their buying patterns around feeling good or status or any of those kinds of things? Those you want to know as well. And then you also want to take a look at what are their values? What are their fears? What are their desires? And what are their goals? So what you're going to do, if you're listening to this as a recording, what you're going to want to do is pause right now and write some of those things down, or take a moment to really consider that. Or listen to the end, go back again, and review it again. Because these are really key pieces. This is actually the key part of any part of a marketing plan, of any marketing that you're doing. Because if not, again, you're casting that wide net, and your valuable time and resources will be ill spent. So your specific market, that target market, is made up of some different markets. And this is a really key piece to identify, because so often I'll get clients say, well, I deal with so-and-so, but I do have a couple of clients like this, or I do have a couple of customers like this, and I don't want to ignore them. We're not saying ignore them, but we really want to identify where that sweet spot is in your business, especially for your marketing messages. Because if that other person comes along and they fit certain criteria, yes, you will work with them, or yes, you will sell them what they need. But ideally, though, we want to identify that market. So your primary market is your best and most profitable clients. They have a strong interest in your service, and they're highly motivated. So think about that right now. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, can you put a face or a name to that primary market? And Kathy, would you be able to do that right now if I asked you that question?
Absolutely.
Great, good. So that's that sweet spot. Now we have a secondary market. And the secondary market is, what other markets show good potential, or maybe that you're already working on but you're not really spending a lot of time in that. You want to identify what that market is. And then there's tertiary markets. And those are other potential markets for your products or services. This could be new or emerging users. It could be people that are using a totally different service than what you're currently offering. So again, that's a key piece. And Kathy, that might be for you, for an example, to do even really more adventure travel at some point. There may be a tertiary market there for you that might want really, different experience than what your primary market is. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it does, yeah.
Great, good. So identify as many unique characteristics as you can think of. So work hard at this. Ask your friends and relatives for ideas. Because again, if you've been following my episodes quite regularly, you know that I often will say to you that it's really easy to fall in love with your own ideas. You sit at your desk, you're working by yourself. There often aren't opportunities for you to have people challenge you. So create those opportunities for people to challenge you about your notions, to get feedback from them so they can give you that valuable input. It's really a key piece. So again, you're going to list those primary, secondary, and tertiary markets, and then what you're going to do is you're going to then identify your ideal client or customer. You're really going to work through that. So you're going to take those, who is that ideal, and separate out that secondary and tertiary one for the moment. Who's that sweet spot? Now, here's another key piece that you want to get into this piece of identifying who your market is what are their needs or their most urgent feeling? Sometimes you can identify this as a problem that they have, that they need solving. You might even say, what keeps them awake at night? What do they worry about? And so that could be another piece of it. So it's either what's their need, a feeling that they have, or can it be a problem? I know for you, Kathy, the need that you serve there is there are people who have that value of adventure and the value that they really value that new experience. So you're providing that solution for them, and you're doing it in a way that fulfills their needs for small group, unique experience, custom tailored, all of that. So that fits all of those pieces. So continue to dig deeper to make sure that your messages are absolutely specific to that audience. Is this all giving you some good framework around this, Kathy, now?
That's great. Thanks, Kerry.
This will also help you, by the way, in doing any updating to your website. If you're going to be offering any tools or resources on your website, then you want to be really clear that you're offering those things that primary market really wants, because that's where you're going to get your highest bang for your buck, so to speak. So describe why they would need your product or service. Is there something that's happened that's prompted their need for what you've got? But again, so you might be able to meet an unmet need they might have. You also want to capture what are their wants. So is there information that they need? Remember, people buy things to solve a problem. So what problem, I've already touched on this, does your service provide? No problem, no need, no sale. So even if it's a want, it's a problem that want is at that particular point not being filled. So now you're going to step in and fill that want. So continue to work on this until you uncover a specific problem and then the solution, obviously, that your product or service provides. This will help you uncover their motivation, because again, it's really challenging for you to motivate someone, but when they're motivated, they'll pick up the phone and they'll call you. So that's how you want to appeal to them, is what's their motivation, a really key piece. Then you also want to target their emotions. So a buying decision is always made on emotion. I'm going to say that again. A buying decision is always made on emotion, and it's justified with logic. So the justification comes afterwards. So when they're sort of saying, oh, what did I just do? Then there's logic that steps in and gives them the rationale for why they made the decision. But they will be motivated in that moment to make the decision based on emotions. So what emotions do you observe in the decision-making process? That when someone calls you, Kathy, for an example, to talk about one of your tours, what emotion do you observe? And that's the emotion that you want to tap into, because they're calling because they want to make the decision. They're interested, they're curious about it. So you want to be able to appeal to that, make that decision easy for them to do, because so often people will second guess themselves out of decisions, and there are so many people who have regrets about having not made a decision that they wish that they had made. So what we want to do is help people make that decision. Of course, it has to be the right decision for them. Please hear me say that what we're looking for is you have a solution to the need that they definitely have, and you just want to help them, facilitate them making that decision based on their motivation. So again, what emotional factors in customers purchasing your service have you noticed at this particular time? And then the last thing is perceptions. And are there any negative or positive perception that the clients have about your industry, your particular company, possibly your services, and how will it affect their decision-making process? Knowing what people dislike about your industry is really good, because then you can allay their fears, because you are making efforts to do things differently, to do things to allay their fears. So you want to make sure that you have that in place, and you need to know what those things are, or what they dislike about their industry, and what are their concerns. So in a nutshell, those are the pieces that you want to have in place with your marketing, part of your marketing plan, and this is specifically around your target audience. So Kathy, any comments here on what I just covered for you, and does that raise any questions or specific coaching I could give you on this?
Well, as for comments, Kerry, I think what I can say is that you've helped me a lot over the course of our coaching together, and I think my target market is pretty clearly defined. One of the things that came out of what you were just talking about, though, for me was the emotion, and I think that that's an area that probably in my marketing I might be able to evoke a little more emotion, because it's so clear to me what I'm doing, but of course, unless other people can see it, it's not going to be helpful to them. So, I guess what areas could you see in my kind of business where a person could bring out some more emotion?
Great question. I would say certainly in your copy that you use for all of your marketing, try to listen to the emotion that they're like, what their experience is going to be. A lot of times I know we'll put practical information, details, and logistics of it. Really what we want to do is we want to appeal to that emotion. Imagine, use those words, imagine the experience. Remembering that people experience life 4 different ways. visually, auditorily, kinesthetically, and digitally. Digitally are those real process people. Kinesthetically are people who have that experience, like they want to be in there. They want to be with the sights and the sounds and those smells, and they want to be in it. The auditory, of course, that's going to be the sound. So if it's something that's going to include an experience with opera, for an example, imagine hearing these incredible arias, or what it sounds like to be in a medieval church listening to opera, something like that. And then the visuals, you're going to talk about the details, the architectural details in it, to really appeal to them on that emotional level through their learning style. So I would say, think of it from that perspective. Talk about the experience that they're going to have, that's going to give them, that's going to bring out that emotion, and use emotional words when you're writing your copy or speaking to people or doing your presentations, because that will help them connect with that emotional experience piece.
Great info, Kerry.
Good, excellent. So to kind of wrap up this episode here, there's some key pieces on your target market, your specific audience, your niche or niche. We've talked about your primary, your secondary, and your tertiary marketplaces, and your sweet spot is that primary market. And we've talked about identifying them by gender, by occupation, by psychographics. We've talked about there could even be geography there. What are the characteristics? What are their values? What matters to them? What are those motivators for them? Are there some needs out there that they have? Are there some egoic pieces in there that they love to be able to brag to people that they've been to places? Those are really key pieces for you, Kathy, to be thinking about. And for our audience listening, thinking about who is that audience in terms of what are their problems? What is your solution to that? How can you satisfy their concerns that they have? And how can you identify or what are their concerns about your particular industry or your particular product or service, and how can you allay those fears for them? So I know I've given you a lot of homework. What I'm going to challenge each and every one of you to do is to take some time right now and we'll start working on this, and then put in your calendar regular increments in terms of being able to work on this, because you're going to continue to refine and refine. If you're a startup business, you may have a notion of who your specific audience is, that target market. Over time, that may shift and change because the audience will speak to you. Is it the one you want? Do you want to go into new markets? This may be an area where you might look at emerging markets. So really look at where you are in your business and how can you refine that so that you can be more effective with all of the marketing that you're doing. This has been another episode of Hang Out with Coach Kerry. You can find previous episodes on hangoutwithcoachkerry.com. Kerry is how it's spelled. And remember, you can hang out with me Monday mornings, 9 a.m. Pacific, for topics just like this and expert interviews to help you be more successful in your business. You can also go to hangoutwithcoachkerry.com and download my ebook, How to Get Overwhelmed and Create Massive Results for Your Business. That's my gift to you as a listener of my and an observer of my shows and my episodes. So please do take that, and there are also some free resources on the website as well. Plus, if you are a Google Plus member, then please join my community on Google Plus communities. It is Kerry Brown's Small Business Coaching Community. Come spend some time there. Tell us about you, network, and there'll be lots of specific things that I'll be doing in the future for that community specifically. So again, everyone, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it, and have an incredible week. And thank you, Kathy, for being on my episode today.
Thank you again, Kerry.
Okay, bye-bye, everyone.